Hey, welcome back, 1,000 Pound Sisters. Before I start this review, first thing I want to say is please forgive me for the background noise. I want to do this now, and it's not quiet in my place, but we're going to get it done anyway. I want to start off by saying that I do not trust this man. Trying really hard to, but I just don't see it. Okay, so we begin the episode with Amanda, Michael, Amy, and Misty decorating for the fall at what I believe is Amanda's house. Amanda has pumpkins and hay barrels and other things that she's putting out. And as soon as Michael arrives, she's telling Michael different places to grab things and put them. And while doing this, Amy says that Michael listens better to Amanda than he does to her. We then see that she has some face paint. Gage and Amy paint each other. Gage paints his mother's hair, which I think is funny. Like, what did you expect him to do? Because your hair is a very bright color, and he probably thought that he could add more to it. While doing this, Tammy calls. Tammy is calling to let her family know that she is engaged. And when she said this, my immediate thoughts were, I don't know how she expects her family to respond when she technically hasn't even told them that she's in a relationship. So she takes her time and she tells them that she's been talking to this guy by the name of Caleb, and he asks her to marry him. And then she shows her ring finger. You know that you're moving too fast when you have to remind your family members of your man's name. Not only is it your man's name, but this is your fiance's name. Amanda says, huh? And Amanda heard what was said because Misty, who was sitting right next to her, repeated she's getting engaged. She's engaged. She's getting married. Amanda says she's stunned. She said, I saw on social media that she had a boyfriend, but that was only a couple weeks ago. Once again, how do you expect your siblings to react when you've presented this man on a trash can? Like, let's be clear. You didn't present him via a video call, phone call, anything like that. You allowed the world to know who he was before you did your siblings. So, of course, your siblings are going to have some things to say. In confessionals, Amy says that when she saw the initial boyfriend post on IG, that she thought that it was a joke, and that it, at this point, since making that post, it's only been a month, that Tammy falls fast. She said that in the past, Tammy told someone that she loved him within an hour. So they're just giving instances where they've seen that Tammy has fallen too quickly. They ask, in what I believe is a sarcastic manner, when's the big day? And this fool, and yes, I'm calling Tammy a fool, says that it's scheduled for November 19th, which we find out based on the family's response that is 2 weeks away. Tammy, what is wrong with you? I'm going to get into that a little bit more as I go down further because I don't want to fuss too soon. Amanda doesn't understand the rush. She said the least thing that she could know is this man's government name, his first, middle, and last name before her sister takes on his name. And I believe that is fair enough. Amanda is me. Amanda says, what are his goals? Tammy says that he hasn't had the surgery yet, but he's working on it. I'm pausing because I'm trying to stay calm. We saw last week when Tammy got upset, which at this point we know is a month ago, when Tammy got upset because she was told that she would have to stay longer because of the trach infection. We saw that she even went as far as telling her family that if they don't go come and get her, she's going to check herself out and find out a way to get home on her own. Tammy has now went from saying that she wants to hurry up and get home to now telling Amanda and the rest of her family that she's not leaving until he leaves. My, how things change when we get a man. Amy asks very calmly, do you know when you're coming home? Tammy gets snippy and says, I can't tell you a specific date. Y'all keep asking me the same question. Tammy was annoyed with her family, mainly because she said it bothered her that her family didn't seem happy for her. And my question is, Tammy, why would they be happy for you? You have a horrible track record when it comes to men. You've admitted that you only been dating for a short time. It's been a month, and now here you are saying that you're going to get married in 2 weeks. So that means that this whole turnaround is in less than 2 months. What did you expect? There's some awkward silence, and Amy ends the call. After the call ends, Misty says that she knows Tammy wants to be loved, but she needs to sit back, chill, try to regroup, as well as become an adult. And I agree with Misty. Part of the problem is Tammy wants to be loved. We've seen it on several seasons that Tammy is kind of desperate for love and attention. And I feel like Caleb provides that for her. Amanda says her concern is that marriage is life-changing and that none of them really know him. She even wonders if Tammy knows him. And the answer to that question is no. Tammy doesn't know him. How can Tammy know someone in a month's time? Let's be real. And for all of those of you who are in relationships, whether it be marriage, long-term relationship, whatever, we can all admit that we've been with people for several months, even for some of us years, and we still learn things about them. So there's no way that you know enough, in my opinion, in a month. We then come back to Caleb and Tammy being on camera, and he's all googly-eyed talking, saying that he knows that everything has happened so quickly, but she was just so sweet, and I had to take a chance. Man, please. Those compliments work for Tammy. They do not work for some of us viewers. I feel like he comes on too strong. I feel like in his research that he did for Tammy, he knew the areas that she was lacking in. And that's one of the reasons why he continues to move the way that he moves. She says that she decided that she wanted to do the wedding in 2 weeks because she wants to make sure that the residents at the facility can see it. We got technology. Set up a big TV in the residence hall where you guys do your painting and stuff. Everybody can dress up like they're going to a wedding. Hit the Zoom button, video stream, Facebook Live, video call, whatever you decide to do, and they can attend it that way. I think it's really selfish of Tammy that she was so quick to make her date without talking to her family first. Now, I don't know if it's editing that made it where she didn't talk to her family first, or if they kind of had the idea of the date, but they did a really good job of seeming surprised when they heard the date. So I'm going to say at this point that Tammy's selfish. The first place Caleb said that he wants to travel with Tammy is to Florida because he wants to see the ocean and the air balloons. When asked what are they going to do for their honeymoon, he says for the honeymoon, all he wants to do is hold her, lay in the bed with her, and cuddle and stuff. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be really real. And some of you are going to be like, Tisha, Caleb wants to do those things because they probably can't consummate their marriage. I'm just saying, look, don't shoot the messenger. They talk about this later on, further down, but you got it. That's a big boy. I'm not even talking about Tammy at this point. I'm talking about how big he is, because sitting next to Tammy, Tammy looks small. And I can't imagine it. Amy said it better herself later on in the episode when she said it's probably been years since he's seen his wiener. It probably has been. And I know some people are going to be bad about that, but let's be real. When you have certain weight and folds and all of those things, it does make it harder to do things. And I'm speaking from experience. Not the, let me not say all that. I'm speaking from experience. And we'll just leave it at that. I can't believe I just said that. So, Tammy says one of the things that they look forward to is just sitting on the couch together, just watching movies together. They just want to do everything together. Tammy says that she's been dreaming about this for a long time and that she loves Caleb and her family just can't understand it, which is true because I don't understand it either. We see Chris and Amy go to the gym and work out. Chris looks good. Chris looks really good. Amy says that the kids are her workout, that picking them up and putting them down is a workout. Amy, you keep saying that, but we don't buy it. Chris says that after finding out about the whole engagement thing, that his only thoughts are that Caleb needs to meet their approval. Amy shades Tammy, saying it's a cold day in hell because Tammy's getting married and she never thought she'd see that day. And even though she said this in a joking manner, that's part of the reason why Tammy is with Caleb now, in my opinion. Tammy has never seen her worth. And you guys call each other bees and say the things that you say thinking that it's jokes. But some of the stuff that you say, I believe that Tammy takes it to heart. And this man has shown her nothing but kindness at this point. And she's gravitating towards him because of that. Amy then tells Chris the story that we've heard about him coming to the facility because Tammy was there. And Chris looked perplexed, the same way some of her friends did when we found this out. Amy says she doesn't know if he's a stalker, serial killer, or if he genuinely likes her, and she's hoping it's the part about him genuinely liking her. I'm not saying that he doesn't like her, but I feel like he's moving faster and locking her down faster because, number one, he understands the situation he's in. Number two, he understands the situation his future wife is in, because we're not going to sit here and act like Tammy doesn't get money from this show and that Tammy isn't well known, and he doesn't seem to have a problem being in front of the camera. Chris says that he has a lot of questions, but he knows that regardless of what the family has to say, that Tammy is going to do what Tammy wants to do. We see Michael and Amy take Gage to the park. While at the park, Tammy calls her and asks her if she can be her maid of honor as well as plan her wedding. This goes back to me saying that Tammy is selfish. You are giving her 2 weeks notice to plan your wedding. And at the same point, you happen to mention when you're asking the question that you've already done this for her, so the least that she can do is return the favor. Don't guilt trip me into doing something for you. We already know that Amy's gonna do it. Amy pauses, thinks about it, and says, okay, she'll do it. She then says she'll do it for Tammy because she loves Tammy and that's her sister. She doesn't really know Caleb. She has to get to know him. And Tammy says, you don't have to get to know him. I do. So Tammy, you're admitting that you don't know your future husband. Yeah, we're going to leave that right there. You just admitted it with that statement. Everyone but Amanda and Misty head to the rehab place the day before the wedding to meet Caleb. Chris talks about how he's his sister's protector. Brittany, which is Chris's wife, says to give them the benefit of the doubt, go in it with an open mind because she knows other couples that have only known each other for that same amount of time, a month to 2 months, and got married, and they've been married for 50 years, which it can happen. There are people who get it done in a short time, But if you talk to some of those same people, they'll say that they had to put in a lot of work for it. If you talk to some of those same people, at the time, they weren't both morbidly obese. There's a lot that comes with both Tammy and Caleb, and they're in a rehab facility because they need assistance. So we're not going to sit here and act like problems with health might not add stress on a new relationship and or especially a marriage. We see Tammy's nervous. She's sitting at the table waiting. She's trying to warn him. Caleb says he loves Tammy, so he'll love her family. And I just was like, dang, does Caleb ever, these are the things I noticed. Does he ever take off his headphones? Because the headphones are always around his neck. I hope he takes them off for the wedding. The family comes in with the baby. It's kind of awkward because no one says hi to Caleb at first. Only Amy really says hi to Tammy. Chris puts the baby down in front of Tammy. They're playing with the baby, and we hear Caleb say, while she's holding the baby, "What are you going to do when we have our own?" Sir, what? You need to be able to get up out of that wheelchair. And let me be clear when I say this, because I know people who have disabilities can have children. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, for him, who is an able-bodied person who is not paralyzed, he needs to be able to lose enough weight that he can stand up and hold a baby before he worries about trying to have one. My personal opinion. It's not fair to the child. It's not fair to the child that at this point the child is going to be coming from two morbidly obese families and already have enough odds against them. Make sure that you're healthy and you're good to go so that when and if Tammy does have a child, you can be here for them. She finally introduces them to him. She points everybody out, says, "This is Caleb." Chris then looks at Tammy and tells Tammy he's proud of her, asks her how much weight she loses. She says since surgery, she's lost 97 pounds. Then Chris asks her, "Okay, so when can you come home?" She says, "Once I'm showing no signs of sleep apnea, then the trach could be removed." He then says, "Well, when are they going to remove the trach?" And she points out that it's already removed, which they have a covering over it, and she's just on oxygen. So that's good. He then asks Caleb the same question. He says hopefully it will be soon, but he then adds that he's coded a few times and that God kept him alive for a reason, and one of the reasons is sitting right next to him. I just feel like he always tries to say the right things. And I'm a believer, so we're going to go with it. I'm not going to dig into it the way I want to. I'm just going to let it go. Chris brings up that for the first time in a long time, Tammy could have a normal life, and he's worried that Tammy is taking on too much, because one of the things that he notices that he has a trach too, and he doesn't want Tammy to have to be someone's caregiver when someone's already had to do that for her. He wants Tammy to come out of this being able to just focus on herself, and it kind of makes it hard when you're now considering someone else. He tells him that when he's done with his breathing treatment, he would like for them to have a one-on-one conversation. Amy says that there's a 1% chance that she's hoping that Tammy will take the 1% chance and change her mind, but we all know she isn't. We see Tammy in the room with Amy and Brittany trying on different possible wedding dresses. Amy even got stuff for Caleb and his groomsmen, which I thought is sweet. I don't know if it's Amy or if it's TLC. She finally puts on a dress that she says is beyond perfect, and I don't understand what you deem as perfect, because to me, it looks like something that you would wear at the park, like if you were going to the park, just white. I feel like Well, I can't say that. I was going to say I feel like Amy could have done better, but let's be real. She had 2 weeks. So how good can she do with 2 weeks, not knowing her sister's shoe size? Like, there's a lot to it. So Amy looks really concerned, but she's trying to also be excited for her sister. Tammy thanked Amy for coming and for helping to get her wedding ready. And you could see that it shocked Amy because we're not accustomed to hearing Tammy say thank you. And she just looks so happy that I really hope it all works out despite my skepticism. We then see Chris and Caleb talk. Chris walks in the room, shakes his hand, says he wants to have a man-to-man talk with him. He says he doesn't like that he hasn't gotten to know him. So when he says that, he tells him he's 39, he's never been arrested, no police record, etc. Chris wants to know if he'll be a good influence, what type of jobs he's had. He says he's trimmed trees and done fast food. Now, Chris, you see how big that man is now, and he's told us that he recently lost 200 and something pounds. You know that man is on disability like your sister. You know that he doesn't have a job. You know that it's going to be a problem for him to be able to maintain a household. So we're not going to sit here and act like this man could just get up and go work when he can't even take care of himself. Chris lets him know that he doesn't want Caleb to hold her back or have her revert to the things that she's done in the past. And I feel like that's fair. He tells Chris that Tammy has made him feel motivated and that he's never felt like this before. And he knows a lot of it is because of his sister. And I feel like that is all nice to say, but you need to be your own motivation. I hope your sole motivation isn't Tammy. Chris asks if he's ever met Queen Tammy. He said that Queen Tammy is difficult and she's a bee, and he says he's ready for the challenge. He said that Tammy and him calm one another. He never felt like a love like this before. He knows it's different than anything he's ever experienced, and he wants to hold on to it forever. Chris said overall he feels like he's a good guy. To me, that remains to be seen. Chris says he won't show his butt as long as Caleb doesn't show his. In other words, if you treat my sister right, then you won't have any problems with me. We then see Amanda and the other siblings in the car. Amanda says they got there late last night. Amanda asks the questions that I ask, which is how mobile is he? She then asks how they'll consummate the marriage. Then Chris brings up something that TLC has had to feed them about wondering if they're rushing because Tammy is pregnant. Tammy is not pregnant. Amy says that Tammy could be pregnant because Tammy rushes to do everything. And then Missy says, well, she did want to get pregnant. They tried to do this whole pregnant thing. Amy then makes a comment about how they probably haven't even done anything because he hasn't been able to see his wiener in 5 years. And Tammy is going to get you guys when she sees this. She's going to be mad when she sees this because y'all talking about her husband. And that's that. Overall, I feel like Tammy wants love so badly that anyone, if persistent enough, could have gotten Tammy. Tammy was in love with Jerry. Even though she knew Jerry had a wife, she wanted to marry Jerry. Tammy is in need of focusing on Tammy. I want Tammy to succeed. I've seen other pictures of her where she looks like she's still coming down. I'm a little confused by her appearance sometimes, but part of me feels like they don't want us to see exactly how much she's coming down. I want the best for Tammy. I hope I'm wrong when I feel like this guy is an opportunist. You guys, tell me what you think about Caleb and Tammy down below. Would you support Tammy, if you were one of her siblings, like, would you support her and go to the wedding? Because I wonder if I would. Part of me feels like I wouldn't, which sounds terrible, but I really feel like when you go to a wedding, you're supposed to want to be there to support the couple. And I just feel like if I'm not sure about somebody, then I shouldn't be going to their wedding. That wouldn't be right of me. But you let me know your thoughts. For those of you who have subscribed, thank you. We're almost at 80 subscribers. Woo! I know that to some it may not seem like a lot, but I'm grateful because I started this just trying to figure out like what it would be like. Still a little uncomfortable in front of camera, still stumble, still coming out of my shell a little bit, but I feel like we'll get better over time. Thanks for your time. Until next time.